been here for a while, you might know that I don't do a whole lot of hyping. Like, I don't get super stoked about some new acquisition, no matter who it is or what their pedigree. But I made an exception for Patrick Queen. Those of you who've been here know what I'm talking about. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also happen to offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The home opener is Sunday, 1:02 p.m. at Acrisure Stadium against the Los Angeles Chargers. And if Queen were to have some big game, it would represent his breakout with the Steelers. And that's my very kind way of saying it would be the first time that he's made the kind of impact that a lot of people, myself included, had hoped to see. Now, before you start biting back at that assessment, let me explain what I mean, because yes, I get it that he's played well. Through these two games, Queen has 6 total tackles, 5 of them solos. He has 1 pass defensed, that was early in the Denver game. He has 2 missed tackles, both of those, of course, coming early in the Atlanta game. And I say, of course, because I'm sure that's prominent on a lot of people's minds. They weren't really good visuals. And there's nothing really in the way of pass rush stats. There's no hurries, hits, much less sacks. So for all intents and purposes, statistically, and maybe even to the casual eye, he's just been a guy. So when people like me can be guilty of overhyping somebody or whatever you'd want to say, and his name doesn't even get called all that much, there are going to be plenty of people who say he's just a guy. The subject came up yesterday with Terrell Austin in his weekly session with reporters, and I got to tell you, I loved TA's answer.
I think PQ's doing everything we ask him to do, and those plays will come. I think Mike always talks about, doing things, the little things right and making the ordinary play, and the splash will come. And I think that's all he's doing right now. His splash will come in terms of that, but I think he's been great in terms of leading our defense and doing those things.
Now, I'm not going to be able to top what you just got from a defensive coordinator in the NFL, but I can tell you that in covering the game live, this past one in Denver, and singling out number 6 for my mythical little spotlight, like I put a little yellow circle under their feet and follow them around. In my head, don't tell me you don't do that. We all do that. And what I saw way more often than not was nothing more dramatic than number 6 dropping back into coverage, occasionally against a wide receiver, sometimes even splitting wide to do so. And to TA's point, one of many points he made in Queen's defense, not that he needs a defense, but that's just the term I'm using. The guys up front are stopping the run. And as such, you're not going to hear the names of the inside linebackers very much at all. Have you heard Peyton Wilson's name? Nope. Did we have big hype for Wilson? Yep, me too. I've had conversations with both Queen and Wilson on the subject of how they're adjusting to the defense, meaning this specific defense in Pittsburgh. In Wilson's case, how he's adjusting just to the NFL, and it's been like talking to the same person. That's how similar their experiences have been. They're acknowledging that Keanu Benton, Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Montravius Adams, Isaiah Loudermilk rotating in have gotten the job done up front. It could be argued that the Steelers' defensive line has been the real standout of these past 2 weeks. And that's in large part because they've allowed the people behind them to do their jobs. I've heard that from the guys in the secondary after they've made all their interceptions. I've heard that from the inside linebackers. And that, I'm going to tell you, is their perfect world. That is the way this defense is supposed to operate. And that is also why this defense is being considered, by some anyway, to be the very best in the NFL. Now, I say all that, and here come the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins, and the heavy rushing attack that they bring, while also having a very real passing threat with Justin Herbert and his weapons. But this will be the first significant run game that the Steelers will face. This will be the first significant test that they'll face from an opposing offense, really in any manner. Kirk Cousins wasn't himself in Atlanta. Bo Nix was, in Denver. So however well the Steelers have done through 2, they're going to have to be legitimately that much better Sunday. That's not me, repeating or reciting coach speak. That's actually going to be true. They have to be better. This is what Queen had to say on that subject yesterday.
Everywhere. I think run game is a few little slips. I think pass game, me personally, just not trying to take people's head off every single play, trying to calm that down, get back to my old ways and stuff. I think everything can improve. Pass game, eyes, run game, hands, feet. Every single player on this team can get better at it.
I wouldn't worry about him. I wouldn't worry about the rookie next to him. I wouldn't worry about Landon Roberts. These are really, really good football players, all 3 of them. They haven't really been asked to do anything just yet, other than what they've done. That's about to change. When we come back, J1Q. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Kyle, and I'm not stretching it when I say this is one of the better questions that's been asked all year. He says, DK, the refs put their whistles away for a lot of holding calls unless you're an edge rusher. Was this team, the Steelers, designed backward? What's the point of paying this defense so much money when the NFL has told refs to give the offensive line a clear advantage? I'm not saying you need to do what everyone else is doing to attain success, but this formula hasn't exactly been successful the past couple of years. Kyle, I'm not going to lie. I've had a similar thought, not this well worded and not this coordinated, but every single time you see TJ get held the way he does, and it's not just like holding the way it was being called in Denver on everybody. It's chokehold. It's just people wrapping their elbows around his throat. Like absolutely anything goes as long as you commit your foul against an edge rusher or a prominent edge rusher. And as I've stated before, this isn't some anti-Steelers or anti-TJ thing. It's a protect the quarterback thing. And I guess Roger Goodell feels he's found a way to do that without just coming right out and saying, man, it's really time we legislated the edge rusher out of the game. So yeah, there's a ton of money that goes into TJ, and I'm not about to be an idiot and suggest that one penny of that is wasted. However, if your emphasis as a defense in general is the pass rush, yeah, I could see where some teams would be backing off of that. And I mean that literally, meaning backing off the line of scrimmage and just taking away passing options. And maybe it'll be the case over time that the Steelers will adjust to the way the league is calling these games, and they'll do a lot more of what they did, say, in Atlanta, where they went in purposefully, vocally, saying they weren't going to blitz Kirk Cousins. Why? Because he's got a career of being really good against the blitz. If you come at him, he'll come at you. So what did the Steelers do to compensate? Well, beautifully enough, they came at him, but they only did it with 4 guys. And they were still able to get through the Atlanta front, still were able to keep him flat-footed, not that he isn't flat-footed anyway, and they still pressured him. Plenty. Now, is that going to work against everybody? No. Is that going to work this weekend against the Chargers? I don't believe so. But I can see a scenario where over time, not in the very, very near future, but, sometime within the next decade, where edge rushers just get phased out because of the way they're calling these games. You're not going to pay somebody $20, $30 million a year to get held. TJ, to his inestimable credit, still gets back there somehow, still wrecks the game when he's at his best and the way he did in Atlanta. But TJ's like 1 in a million. Or if I put that more accurately, he's probably 1 out of about 5-6 guys in the league who can do that. And everyone else is going to have to find a different solution, which is how these trends tend to get started. Remember middle linebackers a long, long time ago? Yeah, like just a decade ago. They're gone. Remember nose tackles who would just plug the middle and eat up blocks? Yeah, they're gone too. That hasn't been very long either. I hate to say this because the edge rusher has been forever one of the sexiest positions in football. The list of the true greats in that role are some of the biggest names in NFL lore. But you know what? So were the middle linebackers. I appreciate that. I feel like we could do like 2 or 3 shows on that subject. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Steelers. A reminder that at 4 p.m. Eastern every weekday, including today, I offer up a double shot that's always built around the Steelers. And of course, we'll be back with one of these Monday morning.